Now to give this a texture and to seal the surface, I'm going to use Liquitex gel medium. This says, the label here says gloss gel, and it's a medium consistency. There's also other kinds you can get. This one here I tried out also. This one was a heavy gel, and it's a lot thicker gel. But the thicker gel really shows the brush strokes, and it takes a bit longer to dry if you put it on thicker. So I thought that the medium gel worked out a little bit better. Now when you put this on, this costs about $15, at least when I bought it, but this will go a really long ways. So when you open it up, I would suggest you use a brush about this big to apply it, and then use a smaller brush to go ahead and do whatever texture you want to do in the surface. So let's go ahead and put this on here. I'm not going to put it on too awfully thick. You see this, it's hard to describe what this is. It reminds you a little bit of mayonnaise, I guess is probably about the right consistency. The heavy gel is a bit thicker, but we're going to put it on so you've got kind of a uniform, not solid white coating, but kind of between solid white and being able to see the green pond all the way through it. So this, I think, is just about right. If you get it on too thick, it's going to take a really long time to dry. If you put it on too thin, you're not going to really get as much texture and quite as much gloss as you want to. Now when you're painting over, go ahead and paint over your fish, because this stuff will dry crystal clear. So it's not like you're going to be losing the definition, or you won't be losing your fish in the water or covering them up. This stuff will dry completely clear. Now if you've got a large area, it doesn't really matter. This stuff takes a really long time to dry. You're going to have to let it set overnight to dry completely, and it may take a little bit longer than that. So you don't have to panic or worry. Like when we're doing with the epoxy, 5 minutes, you've only got 5 minutes and it sets up, so you have to be really careful. This stuff you don't have to really be careful with. You can just sort of let it just put it on and not worry about it, and then we'll have plenty of time to texture it after we get all of this on the surface here. Okay, now that we've used the larger brush to put a good coat of it over the whole surface, we're going to take a smaller, softer brush and put some texture in. I mean, I could just leave it like this, but some of the big, large strokes on here would look probably a little funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, and I'm just going to kind of work it around a little bit on here. I probably should have put a little on my brush, but I'm just going to grab some that stuck under the post, and we're just going to kind of texture this up. You don't want too crazy of a texture on here. When this dries, this is going to deflate. In other words, this is going to go kind of sink back down in and become much flatter than what you see here. I'm just kind of pushing the brush down and pulling back just a little bit. If you stay in one spot and you just stipple up and down, you'll get little peaks. But I'm kind of pulling back a little bit as I'm going across. And I'm just going to go and do the whole surface. Now, those of you who really study water will take your time and try to get it to look like actual water. I'm not that careful. I'm not too worried. All I want is a texture on here so it kind of looks like water and it's not horribly sticky. It looks like this is probably about the texture I want. The brush is kind of laid flat, and I'm not going up and down like this. I'm kind of laying it flat, and I'm just kind of gently pushing and stroking as I go through with the brush here. Now you'll notice your fish is pretty well covered in gel too. What I would do is you want to get the gel off of them, and you want to kind of make it look like there's a wave around them. What you can do is kind of remove the excess, wipe the excess gel off your brush, and then just kind of scrape down. Your brush will be pretty firm. Just kind of scrape down beside the fish there. That's going to pull that gel off of his back, and it's also going to leave a little ridge around the bottom of the fish to kind of make it look like there's a just kind of a ridge of water around him as he's cutting through the water there. Okay, here's our finished model. The Liquitex medium gel is pretty well dry. It's only been a day. You can see some areas, if you look close, that are still just a little bit milky. But the fish, you can kind of see that they go down into the water. So that looks pretty good. Nothing is sticky anymore. Everything is set up pretty solid. The last thing that we need to do before we glue our boat on here there's our boat that's going to go on there, is to go ahead and fix the back. You'll notice the Envirotex light crept up into the dirt. It really crept up pretty far, farther than I thought it would. So the easiest thing to do to fix this is to go ahead and apply a little glue, sprinkle a little more dirt on, and then nobody will ever know that anything went wrong there. Okay, here's a quick view of the model after it's completely done. This is the boat from Freebooter Miniatures. I think it was called a Yola is what the name of the boat was. Here's a 28mm figure, and then you can kind of see if you go around here, this is kind of what, just kind of a look around this whole thing here. And the water still needs to dry just a little bit more. There are some places of the water that are still a little bit milky, but that'll give you an idea of what this thing looks like, and hopefully you won't be afraid to go ahead and try doing some water effects.